Hello, hello, and welcome to the Finding the Unicorn in You podcast. What a beautiful day to inspire lives. My name is Jaime G, Raygoza, your host, and I am so excited to have you here. Let's get ready to meet some fantastic unicorns and learn how to unleash the inner unicorn in you. Let's get started. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Finding the Unicorn in You. Today, I have an awesome guest today. He was actually named one of Florida's top personal trainers. He became a published fitness model. With the attention to fame came some downward spirals, which I'll let him speak a little bit more of. But now he focuses his time to help victims of narcissists gain back control of their own lives. So without further ado, I have Derek Newborn.
Hey, man, how's it going?
It's going good. But why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do and what inspired you to do the field of work that you do?
Yeah, so essentially the field of work I do is I mainly help women regain back their life physically, mentally, and emotionally, in the sense of coming from partnered with narcissists or growing up with narcissists or interacting with narcissists on some shape or level. If you've ever interacted with a narcissist, you're kind of like, you feel like you go through a tornado and then you're like, who am I? What am I doing? Why is this even happening? And I work in that field because I was a narcissist for so long. As you kind of mentioned, got successful in the personal training world, got recognition that got discovered, became a full-time fitness model, and everything was going great in my life. Relationship-wise, I had the exact girlfriend I wanted. We were living together. Everything was great. Had all the fitness model work, all the recognition. But because of childhood trauma that I was unaware of, I was essentially self-sabotaging myself and being very narcissistic and pretty much causing a lot of damage with the people that I loved the most. So years of that and being narcissistic, essentially, obviously my life imploded and everybody had enough and everybody walked away, and that led to severe depression, which I was struggling with anyway. And then that led to a few suicide attempts, and that was essentially rock bottom. And since nobody was there for me to blame or use as a scapegoat, I had to look in the mirror and start taking ownership of the fact that I was responsible for exactly where I was at in life. And that's when I started doing the deep work on myself and taking ownership of everything that I possibly could, and started retracing and realized that I was in fact a narcissist. And so that was the first step, was acknowledging it. And then now figuring out why I was a narcissist, because narcissists, nobody's born a narcissist. Nobody's born an asshole. Nobody's born an alcoholic, right? Certain things have to transpire for you to end up that way. So I went on that journey, and now I'm at the point where, I feel like I'm kind of the guy that was behind enemy lines, so I can be extremely transparent with people that have been on the damage side of narcissism. And that's what really my crusade is in life, is to use my downfalls as a guide of what to look for and what to avoid, because I don't see anybody else really doing it.
That term has been used more commonly in today's time. You hear it everywhere on social media and on TikTok, everything. So for someone that uses the word but doesn't really know what it means, like, can you define a little bit what narcissism is?
Yeah. Essentially, to make it real simple, is a narcissist only looks out for number one. So as long as they are seen in a good light, as long as they get the response they want, as long as they feel what they want to feel, everyone else around them is disposable. Their family, their partners, everyone. Essentially, when they look at somebody, whether they do it subconsciously or consciously, but each person in their life is there for their advantage. They're not going to have people in their life that they just enjoy or they help others. The only reason they're going to help others is if they gain something from it.
And what made you decide from healing from that and changing your personality and the way that you were to, you know what, I'm going to take this and try to help people who were victims of a narcissistic individual?
Well, because I had number one, I had a lot of guilt and shame attached to that life that I led for so many years. And, once I realized it could have been avoided if I would have done the work ahead of time, if I would have acknowledged that I struggle with depression. Depression runs in my family on both sides. But, I was a successful fitness model, had a hot girlfriend, all that stuff, right? So the last thing I'm going to do is admit that I'm struggling, right? So the more I try to bury that, the more narcissistic I became. So I had a lot of guilt and shame with that. And once I was able to discover it and literally look at every single person that I hurt in their face and say, I did A, B, and C because I had these issues going on, and I take extreme ownership for all that. So once I took extreme ownership, it's kind of like I have all this information that can help so many people. I've taken ownership. I talk about it openly. So it does me no good to keep it hidden when so many people can use it. Because at this point, it can't hurt me anymore. I've disassociated myself with that, so I don't have the guilt or shame. So all this information comes from firsthand experience that I personally did. So here, use it, please.
This is such an interesting topic for me, just because, I've dated narcissists, and I know individuals that, friends that have been in narcissistic relationships. So what would be something that you tell someone that is maybe dating an individual with narcissism? Like, how can they, what should they do, or how should they talk to their partner?
I would seek third party help, because number one, it's very uncommon and very rare for a narcissist to actually change, because a lot of things have to happen for them to even want to change, first off. So I know in my position, if the people I loved pulled me aside and said, can we please go have another person join these conversations to get insight, that would at least get me maybe thinking twice. So if you can bring a third party in and just throw it out there, and worst case, the narcissist keeps being a narcissist, right? But at least you pulled it, because again, the narcissist is most likely just using you to their advantage. So if they're willing to go to a third party, that's a huge step.
That's not easy, especially if you have a individual who is narcissistic. They're not going to want to admit it, and even like to them, there's no problem.
Right, exactly. That's why I say third party, because if it's coming from you, they're going to dismiss it and remind you of how great they are and they don't need anything. But if a third party gets involved, it can open up the chances. Is the best honest answer I can give you. I can't tell you that's going to fix anything, but it gives you the best chance.
What are some red flags that people should look out for to see if, like, maybe my partner may be a narcissist?
The biggest red flag is really if their actions don't line up with their words. So, on their social media, or when you guys are out in public, they portray one thing, and they speak a whole different way. Then you guys get home and it's completely opposite. That's the biggest red flag. Another red flag is overly defensive. So whether, if you say something directly, not even criticizing, but expressing how you feel, that they made you feel a way. If they tell you you're overreacting, or tell you that that's not how they made you feel, that just shows you it's not about you, it's about them.
And I know you went through a very intense journey, and you shared some vulnerable things with us today, what you went through. Which part of your journey would you say was the hardest transition for you?
So the hardest transition was really taking extreme ownership, because to be honest, I'm sure I could have kept on the same path and found new victims and, chalked it up to what I could have found an excuse, right? And kept going. But it was at the point where I literally felt like two different human beings. There's this guy that was narcissistic for 7 years, and then there's this guy that's tried to kill himself twice and been in mental hospital. And this other one, the narcissistic, can definitely make his way through life. This one that's struggling, it's almost like life is starting over again and trying to figure out who I am. So I had to make that decision. It was a major decision, but I made the decision that I have to start from the ground up over again. I have to create the exact life that I want, because I can't change those things. So I have to take ownership. I have to live in alignment and go from there. Even if I completely transform, that doesn't mean the people I love the most are going to come back in my life. They don't owe that to me just because I'm a transformed human being. You know what I mean? So it was a long, lonely journey, right? Because I can be healing and transforming, but nobody really has to give a shit, right? They have their own trauma to deal with based on the past version. You know what I mean? So the decision to, just take ownership, and if it's me by myself the rest of life, then so be it. At least I'm an honest person with a strong foundation who can help others at this point. That was the biggest turning point.
It's hard because you want to go in this new path and you want to do this, be a better person, but you also want those people, those loved ones to stay. You don't want those individuals to leave. And in a sense, you kind of want them to selfishly stay and like with you, but it's not their prerogative, that it's yours. So
Exactly.
how was that?
I mean, it's like you said, it's hard, and I used to beat myself up way more now, because here I am, the actual person that I knew I was destined to be, and yet the people that should be benefiting from it, they're on the other side of the bridge, and the bridge is gone. And that's what I have to accept, and that comes with ownership. So all I can do is help the people that I come in contact through this story. Is the only way I can, I guess, make amends with that past version and those past people. But like I said, it's, even if I don't have everybody in my life that I want, I still get to wake up every day with the person I am now. And that was 7 years of just struggling. So now I feel great, even though, sometimes it's a lonely journey sometimes, but it's an honest journey, and I'm extremely proud of it.
Should be proud, because you've put in a lot of work for self-growth and to really focus on yourself. And not, like you said, not many people, one, acknowledge that they have a problem, and two, are willing to do the work to fix it. It's a lot easier to stay your ways and double down
100%.
than it is to say, you know what, I'm wrong, I'm fucking up, and I should actually do something about it.
Yeah.
So if someone is going through this and they're realizing, you know what, I probably have this, what are some things that they should do to kind of get out of that and start doing the self-growth journey?
For one, I would message me, because essentially what I try to be right now is what I wish I had 7 years ago. I wish somebody was there that I could go to, and without judgment. So if I could come and be like, I'm just cheating on my girlfriend left and right, and I'm just an asshole. If somebody's coming to you like that in that state, the last thing they need for you is to judge them and tell them that they're fucking up. They already know that. That's why they're there, right? You know what I mean? So message me, because I'm a great resource. But also, again, you have to seek help. I've been through every form of therapy: shock therapy, rapid eye movement therapy. I've been on retreats across the country. I've been to spiritual retreats. I've been on ayahuasca journeys. I've been to couples retreats by myself. You got to give yourself a chance and seek help. Like I said, start at therapy. You'll figure out what works and what's not working. I've had so many avenues, and not all of them paid off, but it let me know that, okay, that's not working, so I need to go this direction. Like you can't give up on yourself. You got to give yourself a fighting chance. So the first one is just take action.
And let's go back to your business. So I know you do personal training, and then you also do the narcissistic healing. So how do you do both of those in hand? Is it all in one? Is it two separate services, or does a person come and it's all encompassing?
Essentially they're all encompassing most time, but really they're two separate things. So a lot of people come to me to help get their metabolism right. It's an online coaching program, the Metabolism Rev Up. However, once they're in the program, they realize how much the mind is connected to the body, right? So they can jump through all the hoops, follow the diets and the workouts. But if they have all this negative self-talk and all this trauma that they're ignoring and suppressing, their body's not going to respond. So the program is one-on-one direct coaching. So we have conversations. So once we start digging into why their body's not responding, that opens up the second aspect of the program, which is the one-on-one life coaching. And then that's really where the magic happens, because now they're setting themselves free and they're literally taking burdens off their shoulders. And now their body's free to drastically change much quicker. So it's intertwined, but it's two separate things. If that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm curious if you've seen a correlation between individuals that came out of a relationship with the narcissist and their inability to lose weight or fix their body image. Because personally, when I was in a domestic violent relationship, the individual kept telling me that, I was too fat, I was ugly, and it was like one thing after another. So if by hearing that, you'd start internalizing over time. So these women that you work with, do you see a correlation between their self-image and then the resistance to change to actually do stuff in their body?
Yeah, 100%. Because either way, it's a journey. Whether you're in the program, whether you're out of the program, this whole thing is a journey. So when they come in the program, even if they do start seeing progress physically, whether it be inches and weight loss, they're immediately following it up with a negative reinforcement. And that's one way to tell. They may be like, I lost 5 pounds, but I hate the way my arms look. They can't just let themselves be in a positive state, or they can't. It's hard for them to acknowledge that, hey, you've literally changed your habits in 4 weeks. You know what I mean? It's always, I did this a positive, but, and then follow it with a negative. So then you think about how many times are they telling themselves these negative things, but yet they're working their ass off, but they're still conditioned to the old mindset. Whereas you could probably do half the work physically and recondition that mindset and be a whole lot better off.
That is mind-blowing. And you say it makes sense. And a lot of people try to do the physical work, but are not willing to do the mental work because they're like, that's not important, I don't need to do that. But you do have to be in the right mindset, and you need to be in a positive mindset in order to accept the change. Because I have friends that are trying to lose weight right now, and those are the exact same things that they say. They're like, hey, I lost 5 pounds, but dang, my thighs look big. Then I'm like, you still made a lot of progress. Why are you diminishing yourself?
Yeah. And that's the thing. So whether you're in the life coaching program and going strictly mental or going strictly physical, either way, it's the same process. And you're not going to wake up overnight and have this huge shift, but you can make super small daily changes in how you think, which is going to change your decisions, which is going to change your actions, which is going to change your outcome. So that's how you get to the end goal. If you're, like I said, whether it's mentally or physically, it's small daily decisions that drastically change your life over time. It's not one magic thing that you have to accomplish or you're not going to be successful.
And it's baby steps. It's all work, and don't force yourself to lose 100 pounds in them or whatever it may be. I know we all want instant gratification, but it's a lot of work. And if you want long lasting results, you have to put a good time's worth of dedication in there.
Yeah, we use the motto, progress, not perfection.
Yes, I like that.
Yeah.
All right. So with all the knowledge that you've gained thus far and through all the changes and transitions you've gone through, if you can go back in time and tell yourself one piece of advice that would impact your life significantly, what advice would you give yourself?
I would give myself advice that your past doesn't define you. Because even through, like I said, through childhood trauma, My past defined me for a long time. My past is the reason why I became a narcissist, right? My past is what brought me to my suicide attempts, right? If somebody would just said, bro, these things don't define you. These happen for a reason. They're not yours to carry. They're yours to learn from. But then I probably wouldn't be in this situation on this podcast. You know what I mean? So it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah, and I've heard this time and time again on here. I feel the people who have been most injured in life are the ones that do the best work out with other people because they can relate, they understand what they're going through, and they know the triggers that kind of cause you to do certain things, so they're able to help you a little bit more with that resource belt.
Yeah, I mean, that's the greatest thing. I mean, never in my life, if somebody told me I would be helping people in the way that I do now, I would have laughed. But who better to help somebody than somebody that's been through it? Like when I get super transparent on my posts when it comes to narcissism and like narcissistic behavior, and people will message me or they'll comment, they're like, oh my God, that's spot on. And I'm like, I know, because I know I did that exactly. Trust me, I know why. I know it's spot on.
I know you pretty much grew very big on social media, and then you've been posting like different things about your program, things like that. So if a person goes in, what would be the first steps to kind of work with you?
The first step is just seriously, just send me a DM. I'm on there a lot. I have a lot of good conversations on there. That's the best way to reach me. If you're I think in my bio it says text apply or something. I can't remember what my bio says. But if you send me a DM and literally say, I heard your podcast and you just need some guidance, and we're not even at the point of talking about working together because there's an application process. But if you just need guidance, like I said, definitely send me a message, because I've been on one side or the other of what you're struggling with, and I can at least point you in the right direction. So yeah, DMs, Facebook, Instagram, let me know.
I know earlier I said if you can give yourself a piece of advice, switching it up, what has been a piece of advice that somebody else has given you that changed your life?
Advice that you're not responsible for what has happened to you, but you are responsible for how you respond to it.
That's deep.
It's a game changer.
Yeah. Yeah, that's intense. I'm processing it right now.
Yeah, because then it puts you back in control of your life and ownership of your life. Like I said, we can't control what people do to us, but we can control our response.
That's as I've worked with clients myself, that's one of the things that people tend to struggle with, is accepting the fact that they control their destiny. They're the ones your actions have consequences, whether they be good or bad.
Right.
And everything that's happened to you has been a summation of all of your choices. Mm-hmm. You can't really blame anybody else for what has happened. It's you. So you chose to take a certain path, therefore that causes a certain set of consequences.
Right. And that's a conversation I have a lot with my life coaching clients. It's not about me patting them on the back and telling them sorry for everything they've gone through. We also have to talk about what they contributed, right? Just like certain people attract narcissists, right? The only way a narcissist survives is if they keep getting fed, right? Somebody has to feed them, right? Mm-hmm. So we're all accountable, whether we know it or not. We all have ownership in every aspect of our life, for sure.
In a sense, it's kind of like survival of the fittest, and they will continue to grow and prosper and multiply if we keep giving them the food supply that they need.
Exactly. And that's why if you're on that opposite end of dealing with a narcissist, best thing you can do is cut them off. Because like I tell people, even if you love this narcissistic person and they're, you envision having a life with them together, the best thing you can do for both of you guys is to completely cut yourself off. Because again, that's the only way you can give a narcissist a chance to change, to become who they truly are. And then that's the actual person that you have in your head, is this person that's on the other side of this transformation. But sticking with them warrants, they have no reason to change unless something drastic happens. And then, like I said, best case scenario, you guys reconnect, and now you guys are both at your best versions. Now you're not, feeding each other negativity.
I believe in second chances, and people do change. And one of the things that I feel people have to be wary about is why they changed and why, like, what's the initiative, like the incentive behind it. Because if a person's changing for someone else, I don't feel like that's very lasting. They would have to change because they want to change, because they see that there's a problem, and then they want to fix themselves to be better. So I think that's kind of like what you have to kind of look, because then people will start reverting back to their old habits if they do it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, and that's when you gotta get really transparent with yourself. Like I said, I had to realize, dude, I could be the greatest guy alive. Doesn't mean people are gonna go along with it, right? They got their own stuff. So yeah, if you have to change for yourself without any expected outcome other than healing yourself.
Last question, which is like the whole unicorn concept of the podcast. What would you recommend someone that's going through something similar as you did to be able to transition into that unicorn phase, into the best version of themselves? What steps, or what one thing can they do to either kick themselves started in that journey, or at least like finish it?
Start being proactive in highlighting your flaws and mistakes, because from your flaws and mistakes, you can reverse engineer and go back through the process of how you got to this point. Because if you can't highlight those, you'll never know where they came from. Because then once you know where they came from, then that's what you actually start healing, right? So I didn't heal the narcissist. First, I had to heal little Derek that was abandoned several times. And now once little Derek's healed, we can go address narcissistic Derek. Like, bro, that's not even you, right? So then that's how you get to the other side of transformation. That's how you become a unicorn, is reverse engineer your process, figure out what your mistakes are, figure out why you did the things you do, address those, and then that eliminates everything else.
Yeah, I agree. You have to handle the childhood trauma and all the traumas you've had first. And I think that can go in both ways too. If you're a victim, you need to still heal what was broken before that attracted you to that person.
Yes.
So that you can then heal the current situation that you just experienced, and then finally move to the person you need to be.
Exactly. Yeah, if you're going through something right now with a person, it's not the person. Something has transpired for you to stick around long enough to be in this position with this person. So that's where you got to go to become a unicorn, is all the shit that you have ignored and overlooked for years. That's where the healing is. That's where the unicorn's waiting back there.
Yeah, you have to get through the shit to get to the rainbow, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, this has been an amazing conversation, and you're doing fantastic things. So just definitely keep
appreciate
it up. And for anybody who wants to keep in contact with you, ask you questions, send you DMs, how can they get in contact with you?
Yeah, so Instagram, it's at dnewborn. Facebook is Derek Newborn. You can go on the metabolismrevup.com. You can go on the newbornblueprint.com. But just get to the point and just send me a DM on either Instagram or Facebook. We'll have a good conversation.
And if you can give one last piece of advice that you want people to leave with this podcast, what would it be?
Tomorrow is a brand new start to a brand new day, to a brand new life. No matter what has transpired today, you have the ability to wake up tomorrow to make a choice and make a change.
I like that. Yeah, every day is a new day. You have to keep going.
Might suck, but it's a new day.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much for your time and for everything that you mentioned here. I really do appreciate it. And for anybody that wants to continue listening, feel free to give us a 5-star rating to push this out to more people. And episodes come out every Friday at 7 a.m. And until next time, thank you again.
Thank you.